Okay, we're live.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting ordered pursuant to revised Missouri State Statute 82487. Ms. Ali, can you please take the roll?
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Tyus, Commissioner Green, Commissioner Freeman,
Here.
Chairman Lane.
Present. Did we get a proxy here from Ms. Kenner?
No.
Oh, we missed you, Ms. Kenner. Can we take the roll over? Connie?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Tyus, Commissioner Green.
Proxy for Comptroller Darlene Green, Tanya Kenner present.
Thank you. Commissioner Freeman,
Present.
Chairman Lane.
Present. First order of business is the approval of the June 9th, 2022 meeting minutes. So I'll entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
It's been moved by Mr. Freeman.
Second, Williams.
It's been seconded by Ms. Williams. So it's been probably moved and seconded. Ms. Ali, can you take the vote?
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Tyus, Proxy Kenner,
Abstain.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Chairman Lane.
Aye. Motion carries. So today we have two agreements and one professional services contract up. We have some guests joining us. The first thing that I will do is tee it up, and then we'll swear in our guests, and we will entertain comment from each of our guests. After each of our guests presents, I will allow the commissioners to ask any questions that they have, and then we'll move on to the next guest. After we close out our presentations from our guests, we will, well, that would be it for presentation. I'll entertain a motion, and then if there is one on the table that has a second, we will go into deliberation as a commission. So the first is for a parking agreement for the Regional Arts Commission. So just to add some color, the Treasurer's Office does regularly engage with businesses in the city or entities in the city that have unique parking needs aside from on-street parking. One of those has come up. So Vanessa Cooksey is here representing the Regional Arts Commission and made a request after doing some research about the need for permit parking at RAC. So again, this is something that we do. Our goal, of course, is to make sure that parking is accessible for our businesses to do what they need to do in the city. We understand that there are always unique circumstances that come up, and we always want to be amenable to those circumstances. So after due diligence and in our parking commission and parking structure, we are allowed to move forward with it, and then we bring it to the commission for approval. So we have some testimony today, and we will entertain that testimony after we swear in our guests. So I guess I can just do it. So I will swear in our guests. I will swear in order of, I guess, last name. So Ms. Cooksey, you were, well, actually we swear in, we'll swear in one by one. So Ms. Cooksey, would you like to swear or affirm?
Yes.
Oh, well, you get to choose whether you want to, I guess, I don't know why. I guess some people don't like to swear, but you can either choose to swear or affirm.
I'll take swear is fine.
So do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. I'll go next to Alderman Grass. Alderman Grass, I guess we don't need to swear because you're Alderman, but we'll do it anyway. Would you like to swear or affirm?
Swearing's fine.
All right. You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. Mr. Maston, same question for you. Welcome. Do you swear?
I'll swear,
You
and
will
I'll say
swear?
I do.
All right. I'll say it anyway. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. And up first to testify is you, Mr. Maston. You have the floor.
Okay, so you all are aware of what the RAC's request is, correct?
Yes, we all are.
Okay, So we're not against the concept particularly, but there's a couple of things that seem like could be problematic for some of the other businesses. So number one, taking 6 spaces seems like a lot, and it kind of goes beyond their footprint. So the new restaurant that just opened up is pretty much a carryout position, and Bake Bears, the ice cream place is next to that. And not having spaces convenient for them, I think could be a real negative for those businesses. Plus the other businesses depend on those spaces, just like the RAC does. And so one of them is the number of spaces that were given out that are designed exclusively for RAC's use. And then secondly, which is pretty much a different issue altogether, but just the time to do it for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know there's some overlap that would be there, but to take those spaces away in the evenings from all of our businesses that are trying to make it work on that block of Belmar just seems like it's good for RAC, but not so good for the neighbors. So we were hoping that there's a balance in there, that maybe there's a couple of spaces and definitely not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That seems to be a pretty long restriction for the other businesses. So that's it. So we're trying to hit something that works for everybody, but to take 6 away from all the other businesses seems like it's given the locale that we've got, what other options we have, seem like a bit much. And at the time frame really is hard on the other businesses. That's it. I think you've got a letter from me that was sent yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Thank you, Mr. Masson. And can you please, I should have asked you this before, but state the organization that you represent. Are you in, well, yeah, just say the organization that you represent.
I represent the East Loop Community Improvement District, but I'm also a neighbor, not quite down 2 blocks away from RAC, but we're on the east end of the loop in our office.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Maston. I will entertain questions from the commissioners. We'll start in order. So I believe Ms. Williams, you are first. Any questions from you?
No, not currently.
All right.
Thank you.
Ms. Kenner,
Not at this time.
Mr. Freeman.
Not at this time.
I have a few. So I didn't mention this at the beginning, but one of the things that we do, especially when we get these requests, Mr. Masson, as you know, we have, well, on the East Loop, we do all of the parking meters over there. So we look at what that demand would look like. So we look like over time, what we're getting out of those meters, try to anticipate what that turnover is and things like that. So we are talking about 6 spaces. Are you aware of, do you know the number of total spaces, metered spaces that are in that East Loop group?
No, I don't have a count. Do you know what they are?
I do. So I'm trying to assess the impact there, but I guess I'm more so asking to see if, and we are talking about 6 spaces. I guess I'm wondering, I'm trying to figure out if seemingly that's a lot to you in the grand scheme of.
Yeah, it's part of it's the proximity. So the 2 businesses directly to the east, the ice cream store and the new restaurant.
And are there?
When it was the Noodle Cafe, I would pop in over there. We try to get something. I park close, run in, get something and take it. And so not being able to have any of those spaces and have to be basically a block away, I think it's going to be it's going to be a negative for those couple of businesses. That's just anecdotal experience. Part of it's the locale. I mean, I know they need to be convenient to the RAC, but what's good for them is not necessarily great for the neighbors.
Gotcha. So the spaces are directly in front of the Bake Bear?
A couple of them, yeah. There's 2 or 3 that are right there within.
Okay, so we'll get to that directly in a second. So one of the other things in your letter that I wanted to ask about, so you did talk to, you spoke specifically about what's it called, the pageant, And you gave the number of, the 250,000 folks who had, who regularly patron the pageant, pre-pandemic numbers, understanding all of that. And, just spoke to the parking need in the area as you're the president of the CID, that's correct, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, knowing that that is a need in the area and whether these 6 spots are permit or not, there's still going to be, I'm sure there's a need in the area right now for parking. I did comb through the strategic plan it's a 2020 to 2024 strategic plan for the CID, and parking was rarely mentioned. Is there any efforts by the CID? And I'm just to prep you, I'm probably going to ask you the same question.
Sure.
Mike with the 28th Ward, to deal with parking, because I did not see that in the 4-year plan. The only thing I saw was minor adjustments to lighting, surface improvement, paving over things. But what about parking availability?
Well, not in that part of, so our jurisdiction goes from the city limits against U City down to Laurel.
Mhm.
So we were able to negotiate an agreement to lease the parking lot. It used to be an old McDonald's on a site right to the east of the trolley building. And we did 90 spaces there. We put in a new parking lot there, and that's all free parking. And that was to support those businesses down in the 5800 block, a little bit of the 5900 block. But, and we have an annual agreement. We pay for the insurance, we pay for maintenance, and we've made a pretty significant investment for that particular block. The opportunity to do that in 6100 block is limited, right? There really aren't any options for that. And nor would we think it would necessarily be a good use of the property to have a parking lot on the street instead of having a building on the street. So the guy that owns the property there at Skinker is not amenable to using any parking. And we've tried to talk with AT&T quite a bit. And we've done that with the Quadrangle folks at WashU to see if they'd be willing to let us have some additional parking. And that's a big organization, and that's not something that anybody has gotten too helpful with. So we've tried to do that. And we might have some options again with some other spaces. Quadrangle might have some opportunity to do something on one of their lots, but again, they're not right there. They're down a block in the 6000 block. That's just where all the activity is. And so those, obviously that's where the demand is the highest for the spaces.
And so with the pageant, there is a parking lot behind the pageant. That's how many spaces is that? And how much of that is reserved for employees of the nearby businesses?
As far as I know, none of the spaces are, I don't, RAC, do you guys, Vanessa, do you have some spaces reserved over there?
Well, this is not a time for cross questioning, but
Okay.
If you don't know, you can just say you don't know.
Short answer is, I don't, if there are some reserved, it's not very many.
And so how many spaces did you say there were?
At which locale?
In the pageant parking lot?
Oh, it's I think, I don't know what it is, 150 maybe.
Okay. So we have about, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lenny, maybe 30 or so spots along that East Loop area, maybe 40.
Yeah, about in between 30 and 40, yes.
30 and 40, and we'd be reserving 6. 24 hours, I will respond to that. We don't have a time limit on it, but 24 hours is not the enforcement timeline. So, and I won't speak to RAC's timing needs, but I assume Ms. Cooksey will. But in terms of the actual enforcement, and we'll deliberate, but in terms of the actual enforcement, we stop enforcement at 10 p.m. So even if the sign is there, it's just to really prevent us from having a necessary sign that says until 10 or whatever. But parking is enforced meters until 7 p.m. and reserve or permit parking until 10 p.m. Okay, and then my last question is, there is the Transportation Development District, the TDD, did give a lot of money to the loop trolley, which I know has created some strains on parking in that area. Have you been able to reach out to the TDD to improve, again, parking availability in the area?
I'm not sure that the TDD does the TDD have jurisdiction
Over
on either
parking.
side of their right of way? I
Yeah,
don't think so, do they? That would overlap then with you? Is that right?
not with us, no.
Okay.
But
So
okay,
we-
that's something I was just wondering if they're also trying to contribute to part of the problem that they or contribute to the solution and part of the problem that they created, but not your jurisdiction. I understand that. Just wondering if any of those conversations had happened.
Again, we do have 90 spaces that are available immediately adjacent to their buildings on the east.
To which building? I'm sorry.
To the trolley building, our parking lot that we have the improvements done to, with our agreement with the History Museum.
Okay. And the trolley building is not in the area that we're talking about, is it?
Correct. That's right.
So, and if you could just clarify for me, I might be missing it, just the reason for stating the availability of parking elsewhere.
Well, I was mostly responding to your question. Has the CID done anything about trying to alleviate parking issues? And that's what that was about.
Oh, okay. So do people usually park, just for my edification, over by the loop trolley area to go to events at the pageant?
If the trolley went down the tracks, they very well might. That's the hope.
Is the trolley still in operation, for my own edification?
The trolley's in hiatus was the last
Oh,
time.
okay. It's hard to ride something that isn't there, but I thank you so much, Mr. Maston, for answering all my questions. Is there anything else that you would like to finish with?
No, again, the issue is just having the spaces unavailable for a couple of these small businesses that are trying to make it work post-pandemic.
Understood.
It's more proximity than it is the number.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Maston.
Sure.
Alderman Grass, you're up next.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I'd like to make a point right off the bat. Procedurally, I was hoping that Alderwoman Tyus would be here because I feel like this is more the type of thing that she would enjoy talking about. But procedurally, I have a lot of questions about what
I enjoy it too, Mr. Alderman Grass.
because I did take a look at the agreement that was signed with the RAC, and it specifically references a specific ordinance in the code. And when you look at that ordinance in the code, it does say that, right under there, that the parking permit program shall also be subject to the approval of any alderman in whose ward the program is instituted. So just procedurally, I guess my first question is, this seems like the type of thing where you guys make up, you guys come up with a permit thing, and then I'm supposed to say yay or nay, whether it's appropriate or not. I mean, or I don't know how you guys would like to handle this, just procedurally on that question, because, I will say too, I'm a little concerned about the process, and I feel really bad for, Ms. Cooksey in the RAC, because I spoke with her and she said that she's been trying to get parking spots reserved in front of her building for a year and has been talking to your office for a year. And then it seems like 2 days before a new alderman got sworn in, this agreement was signed that requires supposedly aldermanic approval. And then this agreement also requires continuing approval because it wasn't done, and I guess my comment as an alderperson would be that I think we have methods to get parking permit programs through ordinances. And I feel like that's really more effective way, because, then there's public notice and people aren't blindsided. Then we don't have to kind of have these after the fact hearings discussing it. So, that would be my first point. And, my second point would be, as currently stated, I do not approve of the current setup of these 6 spots. I do definitely think that there's room for negotiation and agreement and compromise here. But, I was at a meeting at Eclipse a few weeks ago, or last week, and it was on Thursday night, and there was a show at the pageant, and the loop was just like packed. There was just people all around, and then there was just this like dead space in front of the RAC. The RAC was closed and nobody was parked there. And it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And you know, people were parked all up. Enforcement timelines, you know, the sign says nothing about time or anything. I mean, it's just kind of it just kind of says permit parking only. So, you know, I was, you know, some of the proposals that Mr. Maston were saying, you know, I mean, I would certainly be amenable to something where there's spots, you know, I know that, you know, I guess I'd like to know more about, you know, their time frame. I mean, I don't think anybody would care too much, like in front of their building 9 to 5. I mean, I don't think that that's, you know, I think that would be fine. It seems like that's when they have folks there. But I do think that it spills past their building. I mean, looking at it, like it does seem bigger than the footprint of their building. And I think the 24 hours thing seems unnecessary to their needs. And then it also seems like that's kind of the part that's affecting the neighboring businesses the most. So, you know, however you guys would, you know, I think some sort of negotiation at this hearing or, you know, later or whatever, or, you know, if you guys want to deliberate and come up with what you guys think, you know, as the parking commission, I was also a little surprised that we were, you know, asking witnesses all these specific questions about how many parking meters are here, considering you guys are the parking commission. But, you know, if you guys want to come up with a proposal or something, and then, you know, we can, you know, discuss what it is, that's fine. Otherwise, or, you know, maybe we have that discussion here, but, you know, those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Alderman Grass. I will entertain questions from the commission. I'll start with you, Ms. Williams.
I looked through my emails. I didn't see the layout of where these parking spots will be. So I don't know if it's something that could be shared on the screen just so that I can see exactly where these parking spots are. And yeah, I guess that's my only, earlier that was my question, but I thought I would wait until it was just the commission on the call. But since we're getting into those details and weeds, if we have something to share, I would like to see that.
Okay, I don't know if we do. We'll try to get that. Ms. Kenner?
That is my first request also. And to Alderman Grass, what would be, or do you have a recommendation for that site, even for us to consider a proposal? Or do you have any ideas?
Honestly, I didn't think of anything specific yet, but I mean, but definitely, I would like maybe just, yeah, the time and the breadth, I think, is the important considerations. But I had not thought of a specific solution yet.
Okay.
Any other questions, Ms. Kenner?
No.
Okay, Mr. Freeman?
None for me, no.
All right. I have some. So speaking, I'll try to go in the order that you presented them, Alderman Grass. So speaking to the approval process, as you may know or probably are learning, there are a lot of old or outdated ordinances and things, and also things that come into conflict. What you're referring to is in the document. That is actually more so for if an entity, usually some community improvement district, wants to set up, and the example that I will give is the Forest Park Southeast neighborhood that actually has parking, permit parking in their area, which we're actually set to take on. So if they're trying to institute parking for a large district, they have to get approval from that alderperson first. This, of course, is different, as we're talking about a set number of spots. The reason why I asked about the numbers, because as Mr. Maston gave us numbers from a spot that was outside of that area, I'm more so looking at the demand. So we know how many spots are on the street, but I'm really talking about the actual demand, because these six on-street spaces are in context, of course, all the spaces that are on the street, however far you all deem that, whether that goes to the loop station or not. But that would be, I want to know how many you all are talking to, because as we know that that loop section extends and extends and extends all the way into the west side, where we don't control the parking all the way down there. But I'm trying to, my reason for the question was asking how many spots are you all referencing? In the specific area that I outlined, I know exactly how many spots there are. I guess that was pretty much all the questions that you had. So so that was my answer to that. I guess my answer, or a couple of questions that I have for you, one in the same. I know that you are new to the role. You did speak about the time that you went down there and, you know, spots were what they were. 6 spots, 0 spots, that demand is still there. So again, my question still remains, what, I guess, working with the CID, working with the TDD, working with your fellow aldermen in that ward, do you know of any plans there are to increase parking availability? Because I think if we're really talking about parking availability in this area, 6 spots is compared to 250,000 people attending pageant events in the grand scheme of things is not going to really move the needle. And it doesn't alleviate a lot of the issues that you, Mr. Maston, and you, Alderman Gross, spoke to yourselves. So yeah, just wanted to know what plans are on the table and what conversations have been happening outside of this body.
Well, I would say that that exact logic also applies to the folks at the RAC. I mean, you know, the parking demand is parking demand, and, you know, what does the 6 spots mean to the people there if they can park in other parking lots? But as far as what, you know, what is being done, you know, I guess I am new to the role. I'm all ears. I've been telling people all the time that if people have ideas for capital improvement, you know, I have a ward capital budget that I'd really like to spend this year, because I don't know what's going to happen to it next year. So if the parking commission has some ideas for some projects that could help alleviate, you know, parking problems in the loop, you know, I'd certainly be all ears and be welcome to hear and work with you all on that.
So nothing on the horizon, is what you're saying?
I do not know of nothing on the horizon.
So we do get requests all the time. We've gotten requests from folks in the Grove. We've gotten requests as far as North City. We haven't gotten anything from the 28th Ward or from the East Loop, or been approached about a need for parking. I frequent the Loop myself, and I know that there is a need for it. But yeah, willing to work. I see Alderwoman Tice, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Chair. You and I had talked earlier this morning, so Alderman Gross, you may not know this, but I go way back with that corner of what is it? Delmar and Skinker. Is that it? Where it used to be the Church's Chicken? Right. So I first learned about politics from Vince Shamel, because that's how he got in politics, fighting that Church's Chicken. And I got in politics fighting the Domino's Pizza. And so when he was the mayor, he called me up and said, so anyway, I went out there because you and I have had discussions about that. And I'm sorry, I'm the vice chair of public safety. So I got 2 meetings going on at the same time. So you all may have discussed this. Why is that green space and not a parking spot right now? Somebody can answer that for me, because I did talk to the treasurer about that. Do you know?
I don't know if you're asking that.
Go ahead, Mr. Maston.
It's owned by an individual who is not interested in any way, shape, or form of contributing to the public good, just to be blunt about it.
Well,
the fence actually belongs to Quadrangle. To even get that up, Wash U was willing to put that in, but he's been unwilling to entertain the idea. It's not for lack of asking.
So we don't always have to ask. I was a very new alderperson in 1991, and this year, 2022, I am the most senior alderperson. So we have something called blighting with eminent domain, which I don't use often. I got in trouble because I fought and wouldn't give Snooks a TIF back in the 90s, and the Post-Dispatch spewed me and said there wouldn't be a Snooks, and then there was one built anyway. But so that kind of galls me, because I actually was there when Metrolink started back in the 90s when MetroLink told us that if we voted for MetroLink, that they wouldn't put any more money until they put a north-south distributor. I've been galled about the trolley and the taking up of spaces. And so all of that I have watched. I've been through all of that. I was there for the Rams to come. So I've been there for a long time now. So I understand that individuals not willing to give it up, but I'm thinking that with what has gone on with the trolley and the taking up of parking spaces, and I don't live there, but I use the loop a lot myself also. I'm just surprised that there wasn't more of a push from the elected officials. So I was there, served with Dan McGuire. I served with Lyda Cruzen as an alderman. I was there when she got there, and Heather. And so this is my fourth alderperson from the 28th ward. So I guess I'm kind of surprised that you all would have said the greater good. I'm a Trekkie fan. The needs of the many outweigh the wants of the few. So why hasn't there been more of a push to say, unless you're doing something with it right now, we are going to take it and use it for parking. I will tell you, my first thoughts are not to give 6 parking spaces. Mine is there some kind of compromise for 3 and see how that works or whatever? But I guess maybe you could tell me why there hasn't, or why you guys didn't talk about doing a blighting with an eminent domain and making it parking.
If that question's directed at me, I would absolutely be in favor of working with you and figuring out, some way to approach the people on that lot to tell them, you need to put parking on this unless you're going to do something with it. I think that's a good idea.
I had to do that with the Snooks. There was a little piece of land and the lady had had it for years and she just was not. And I held up Snooks actually for a year saying, I'm not going to do blighting with them in the domain. But ultimately I put it in there and told her either you cut a deal or we're doing it anyway. So I'm asking Mr. Maston, I think, because he's been dealing with it a little longer.
We would be very happy to have some push to help get that done. I don't know if you heard me, if you were on at the time I mentioned, we've also tried to get AT&T to help us get the lot across the street, which is completely empty.
Correct.
And we had we did a little sketch and a couple other things for them, and we had a little bit of traction, and then whoever we were talking with went to some other department or I don't know, but we would be thrilled to have the help because it's a huge piece for us. I know we're wandering way off of why Vanessa is here.
No, we're not, because parking is the issue to me, okay? A bigger issue. So I see it from both sides as a parking commissioner, but also as an alderperson.
We'd welcome, if we can, without taking up everybody's time today, if you'd be able to give us some time, the both of you, to kind of think how we could make this go, that would be great. We would be thrilled to have the support.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Treasurer, because
No
sometimes you do have to do a little strong arming. It's not anything that you want to do all the time, and I don't do it often, but I will tell people now, I'm against TIFs and tax abatements and all of that, and I don't like eminent domain, but I will use it if I have to. Okay, so sometimes it makes people come to the table. I introduce a board bill, and then they go, oh, and now I want to have a conversation with you. Okay. So that's just a little hint to you as a new alderperson, and I will work with you. That brings them to the table when they see that board bill that says I'm getting ready to take this property, and I'm going to use it for something that's a greater good, and that's what it's for, the greater good of the community. Now, I think that a better good could have been not to have a trolley car and to have that $50-something million coming down Natural Bridge, which they promised to me in 1991. And they are going to get so sick and tired of me, since I'm still the only original alderperson talking about that, because you will hear that in the next months over and over and over again, because they lied to my face. And I'm still the living emblem of what happens when you lie to somebody and they're still there 30 years later saying, but you're a liar. Okay. So that whole trolley thing was ridiculous to me from the beginning. I would have liked to seen a trolley bus and not take up all that parking space, but that's done now. And so what is the greater good? I do understand why Ms. Cooksey will want safety for her people, but, and I already told the treasurer this, for me, 6 is a lot. And is there some kind of compromise? And is there not even some kind of, and I'm just asking these questions, is there a way to have like some kind of little bus or trolley that takes people safely to some other spaces far away. Because that, just that many saying, this is only for us. Everybody would like to have designated parking like that. So has there been any other discussion of how people could be, because safety is a factor, that is there some kind of tram system or trolley system? I know WashU, I'm a graduate of WashU School of Law. So we used to have, and I graduated in '87, so I'm old, but they used to have a thing at one point where they had people pick us up to take us to cars when they were doing construction and stuff. So is there nothing, any kind of compromise about maybe picking up the employees and taking them someplace to their parking spots that maybe would be a little further off?
So Alderwoman Tyus, that I think that would be a question directed to Ms. Cooksey. She has not presented yet. We are
Okay.
wrapping up
I'm
the
sorry.
presentation. No, you're
I'm sorry.
fine.
So when you're jumping back and forth from, you don't know what's been said.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So we had Alderman Grass present and Mr. Masson. So we'll get to her next. So,
Okay.
but do you have any more questions for
No, that was it.
either Mr. Maston or okay? So my last question, either Alderman Grass or Mr. Maston, was around. You did speak to the economic or perceived economic impact of the spots. Do you have a quantifiable number around that? What you're thinking what that numerical impact would look like for, you mentioned the Baked Bear or even the pageant?
Short answer to your question is no. It would be anecdotal. I would think if you asked the new business, and I don't forget the name, it's like 120H or something.
1207?
Maybe. Anyway, they just opened up where the Noodle Cafe used to be. And my understanding from them is that their business model is really carry out. And not having a space or two right in front of your business I would think, impact them. But that's anecdotal. You'd have to ask them to see if that's how they perceive it.
Yeah. Yep. 1207. It's vegan. Big fan.
That's it. Yep.
All right. Thank you. So we will move on to Ms. Cooksey.
Good morning. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to share. The Regional Arts Commission is chartered by the state of Missouri to serve St. Louis City and St. Louis County. We are the largest public funder of the arts. We are a public corporation acting in a governmental capacity. We have been proud residents of 6128 Delmar for 20 years, 21 years, as a matter of fact, this year. We get 98% of our revenue from hotel motel sales tax earned in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. We ended 2019 with just over $7 million in hotel motel revenue. The COVID-19 pandemic had a significant impact on our revenues, and we finished 2020 with just over $2.9 million. We had a staff of 16 and went down to a staff of 4. This has had significant impact on our programming and our grant making. We considered selling our building and moving out of the loop because of the extreme financial hardship of COVID-19. We are not expecting a full financial recovery before 2025. We did end 2021 with just over $4 million, which is nowhere near pre-pandemic levels. So in considering selling our building and moving, not only would it provided the necessary cash to continue to operate our business and deliver our programs to hundreds of arts organizations and artists in the city of St. Louis. Before we made that significant decision, we embarked on a 6-month process of community engagement. We hosted focus groups, one-on-one interviews, and online surveys of over 500 people who we consider heavy users of the Regional Arts Commission. And we asked them to talk to us about space. One of the 2 key outcomes of that process was people want RAC in the loop. They believe it is centrally located to best serve St. Louis City and St. Louis County. They believe we add great value to that community, and they did not want to see us sell our building and move. They also mentioned that parking and visiting our building has always been an issue for RAC. On December 17th, 2001, when we built the building, we entered into an agreement with the pageant to secure spaces in the lot behind the pageant. That agreement still exists today. We serve hundreds of people on an annual basis, and while our building has been closed to the public because of significant staff reductions due to revenue reductions, we actively use our building. In 2021 alone, we hosted 42 meetings of staff and commissioners. At present, we have 7 full-time staff, 6 part-time consultants for a total of 13. We also have 15 commissioners. So we hosted 42 meetings. We actively use our building from 7 a.m. or earlier to well into the evening. When we hosted our board staff retreat, we had a dinner as part of the component. So we are in our building well beyond 9 to 5. In the arts community, visual arts and performing arts organizations host their events and bring art to our community in the evenings. We are also committed to being good neighbors. So in addition to doing the extensive community engagement, which led to our commitment to stay in the loop, not sell our building and move, we pursued the parking permits because we are preparing to open the building to the public again. I had a 2-hour conversation yesterday with Jill McGuire, and she helped me to understand when we had an active art gallery in the building, the number of people who would come to see and experience art at RAC was significant. We have hosted national conferences in our building. We're in the process of beginning construction so that we can upgrade the technology in our building to be able to offer hybrid events. Even with the meetings that we hosted last year that were specific to our staff and our commissioners, we encourage them to patronize the businesses and restaurants that are our neighbors, like K-Bop. Urban Eatery is actually the exact name of the new vegan spot next door to us. We have purchased gift cards from the business to welcome them to the neighborhood. We encourage the people who attend our meetings to patronize their businesses. We have our lunch meetings at the Euro House. The Bake Bear has been closed. It has recently reopened. It is typically a summer event. We have had conversations with our neighbors across the street, Nudo House, to understand directly the impact of our permitted parking, all of whom have said directly to us, we do not have a concern. So wanted to share the economic impact and our due diligence prior to even requesting the permitted and paying for the permitted spaces, but also would like to share a significant concern around the safety for our team members. We have had 3 of our windows shot out on the 2nd and 4th floor. The 2nd floor window was directly adjacent to the conference room where we host our team meetings on a regular basis. Thank goodness no one was hurt. The 4th floor windows were above head level. So again, we're very thankful that no one was hurt. There are many individuals who struggle with substance abuse that are in our community. Our staff is not equipped to manage. We do utilize the parking behind the pageant and anywhere else we can find it as a staff. So there are 31 people that regularly use our building. I expect that number to grow exponentially when we open the art gallery, reopen the art gallery, as well as host varying conferences and meetings to bring much needed public good, including mental health, physical well-being to our community that the arts provide. We believe we have been good neighbors to the businesses. We have experienced significant financial impact as they have as well. Parking has been an issue. Jill McGuire, my predecessor, has lobbied for a parking garage to be built. And recognizing the number of people that RAC brings to the community, we do still think that additional parking is necessary to meet RAC's full needs. Even the Everly building across the street, which is student housing for WashU, has a built-in parking garage. So they knew coming in that parking was an issue, and they saw for that in the building of their building. So we asked for spaces because we need them. We need them beyond business hours because we do our work 7 days a week in that building, serving the St. Louis City and St. Louis County community with arts programming. We did not ask for or acquire the number of spaces actually needed to provide safety for all of our team members. We took that into consideration with the number of spaces that we asked for and acquired, and believe that it is necessary to continue. Thank you, and I welcome any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ms. Cooksey. We will entertain any questions from the group. From the commissioners, we'll start with Ms. Williams.
No questions.
Thank you. Alderwoman Tyus.
Okay, so this is my question again. I heard you say you were looking at, you wanted a parking garage. So I was there when the commission moved on Delmar. I was at the Board of Aldermen. I know Jill personally because I know Dan. So Jill had a lot of power because she had her own personal alderman that lived in her house, kind of like my husband. I never can get away from that person from lobbying me. I guess my question again becomes, has there been any kind of conversation about some kind of, not trolley, but some kind of little situation that would pick you up with some kind of little van or bus or shuttle or something that could take your workers someplace that was far away? The reason why I'm asking this is because that has been our conversation I have been having with some members of the board about downtown parking for people who work in City Hall. With the cost of everything rising, we provide parking out at the airport, but not downtown. And so that has come up as maybe we could have a parking spot that's a parking lot that's far away, and then we would send some kind of shuttle to pick them up and take them back. And so is that something that is possible? Have you had any kind of discussion or like that, hey, our people get off, and I don't know if they get off approximately at the same time, and could you have some kind of shuttle that would have parking that's a little further away, but would make it safe for our people to get to where they parked?
Alderwoman Tyus, thank you so much. In addition to the parking that we have in front of the building, we're absolutely open to that. We park in the pageant parking lot. We are open to parking wherever we can to continue to bring arts and culture to the community. I will acknowledge I've been in this role since November of 2020. Considering that our revenues are still not even half of what they were, who would pay for the shuttle to bring our people? The part of acquiring the parking spaces in front of our building is that it was cost effective. I am hopeful that both the city and the county will respond to our request for ARPA funds. But at present, we have acquired safety and parking according to our resources. Okay, so answer who would pay for it. That's a lot of different people could do that. See, I'm a wicked person. When you've been around for a long time, you know where all the bones are buried. So I'm not a good person to answer that, because I would say Lyda Cruson, Francis Slade, Joe Edwards, all the people who spent all that money on those trolley cars. So I'm not a good person to talk to it about it, okay? And I have a long, long memory. But okay, going forward, there are other ways that, a shuttle could be worked out. I don't even see why WashU wouldn't want to kick in. They got students over there and look at some things like that. That's my alma mater. They taught me to go out and fight for people. And so to me, a group of people should come in and start having that conversation. We have parking problems. And so how can we address them? Do we have spaces that are not being used that's further away that we can put a shuttle in? Don't spend $53 million or $58 million, but I'm talking about a small amount of money with a little shuttle that ran in the community. And if we had done that with that trolley and done a bus, we could be talking about that trolley as a means to use that. But
that wouldn't be proper for me, but I would work with the alderman from the 28th. And I'm going to yield because I see he has his hands up.
Alderman Gross.
Yes, first of all, just to comment on what Alderman Matthias was just saying, I again will echo, what I said earlier. I think that, there really is opportunity here to maybe make some changes to bring some meaningful parking to the loop and not, have to fight about a couple spots here or there. I think that would be probably the best solution for everybody. So, I would definitely like to, if maybe schedule a future meeting, and I don't, appropriate like a public hearing or, maybe some conversations behind, but I'd love to be included on anything that is. Secondly, I want to also say that I would echo Ms. Cooksey's comments about, how important the Regional Arts Commission is to the area and that neighborhood in particular. I think that, that was a huge get for the loop to get that there. I know that, Joe Edwards worked hard on it. I know that, public art is very important to me in general. I'm a big art guy. I'm a big fan of the Muni. I'm a big fan of doing all that. So I think it's good there. And the fact that, the loop is the one neighborhood that really does border the city and the county. And, it stretches the city and the county, it bridges the city and the county. So the fact that the regional commission that is in charge for, the art for both the city and the county is in the loop is important. And, I certainly don't want anything said here, or any comments or anything like that to reflect on the Regional Arts Commission or would make them in any way feel unwelcome to the neighborhood, because that's not it at all. I do have a question though for Ms. Cooksey, just because, again, I'm a little confused about the process. I'm
sorry, Alderman Gross. The questions are coming from the commissioners now.
So I cannot ask any questions then? Well, then I would just make the point that—
Because it's public comment. Mm-hmm.
Sure, then my public comment would be that I don't understand why. My understanding is that Ms. Cooksey was asked to pay for a year for these spots up front. I would like to know how that number is determined. And I would also like to understand that if she was asked to pay for a year up front, but the agreement specifically says that it's subject to monthly approval, what happens then? I mean, if she's paid for these 6 spots, let's say let's say now we take 2 spots away from her. Let's say now we change the hours on it or something like that. I mean, are we prepared to refund some of that money? Or, again, I just don't understand what happened, and trying to figure out the better way to do these kinds of things going forward. And that's the end of my comments.
Thank you. Alderman Tice, do you have any further questions?
No, I just would like to say to the alderman, he might want to put his hand down if he's finished. Also, I would be open as the chair of Streets, Traffic and Refuse, because although the treasurers have powers, we have more powers, okay? That's why I would suggest they make a compromise, because if the alderman is unhappy and they make me unhappy, I'll make the treasurer's office unhappy, okay? That's how that works. So I'm looking for a compromise, but we do make the laws of the city of St. Louis. And so if you're feeling like that your complete community is not being served, we're a cliquish group over there, 28. We fight, but we're cliques, okay? You're new. So I tell you that to say you have powers that you don't know, okay?
Well, and Alderman Matthias, your ears might have been ringing before you joined the meeting, because in my portion of the things, I already did point out that the statute specifically says that I'm supposed to give approval, and the current setup, I don't. So I said the exact same thing.
And I did clarify that is for wide-ranging districts, not specific parking spaces.
If you disagree with that, then please do send me the authority that you're relying on for this, because I'm looking at—
We'll do, Alderman Gross. Thank you, Alderman Gross.
Okay, I just want to, okay, you guys, we can get through it. We're a cliquish district. The previous treasurer, who's now the mayor, will tell you how cliquish, while I fought for her not to get her money taken away and saved it, they did take it a couple of times. I don't think we have to get to that. I think there's a compromise someplace to see how it works. That's what I'm pushing for. If we could do 3, see how that works. In the meantime, work together and see if we could find another way to get buses, and we can put maybe some ARPA funds or whatever to have some kind of little transportation to take people. I think there's something that you can do that's in the middle that doesn't satisfy anybody, but takes a step forward. I was here, like I said, when the Regional Arts Commission was put there. There were a lot of concerns back then because Black businesses got moved, Black establishments got closed down. You don't know that, but that's what I'm saying. When you've been around for a long time, there was there was a Black church, there was a funeral home. So I've been through the whole process, not right there in the 28th Ward, but adjacent, close enough to see what's going on. And we can work something out, I think. I think 6 is too many. And I'm
Thank you,
done.
Alderman Tice. Any other questions?
Treasurer Lane, I have one question.
Oh, I meant any other, I was coming to you. Any other questions from you, Alderman Tice?
No, thank you very much. I appreciate
All
it.
right, yeah, Ms. Kenner.
I'm sorry about that. So my question is, even outside of the number of spaces, 24 hour, 24/7, why would we want to give this operation the time outside of the operation hours, and not only this entity, but any entity?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Ms. Cooksey spoke to the operation hours, but Ms. Cooksey, if you want to.
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. When we have exhibits being installed, the artists typically come to the building after hours and in the overnight hours to install. So while our public facing events happen during the day and into the early evening, our operations still happen overnight. When we've had, our property has been vandalized. Again, we've had our windows shot out. Those things happen in the wee hours of the morning. And when the security company calls, we have to go to the building. So we are responsible for the property 24 hours, 7 days a week. And while we may not have specific programming, we do have operations and prepping for programming that happens. And safety is our biggest concern. If we have an alarm go off at 1:37 a.m. and we go to the building, we would very much need to be able to park immediately in front of the building to assess the situation. Even 3 weeks ago, we had a pipe in the water fountain on the second floor to burst and flooded the second and first floor. Those things happen in the middle of the night, all times of day. We host events on the weekends. We have our Community Arts Training Institute curriculum development program that we host meetings on Saturdays and Sundays. We've just begun collecting data for the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study 6, which captures the economic impact of the arts sector. We process hundreds of paper and online surveys on Saturdays and Sundays. Our team members have a variety of family needs we try to provide flexibility for. We have team members that live as far south, 40 miles south, who would prefer to have their work hours be 6 a.m. We have team members who are caregivers for their elderly parents and children who prefer evening hours. We need the talent that we have. So we provide flexibility. So we do use our building 7 days a week and nearly 24 hours, depending on what maintenance issues and or other operating things happen in the building.
Thank you. No more questions.
Ms. Williams, I saw your hand up.
Oh, I think I just wanted to see, if I saw a visual of actually where they're wanting these parking spaces, it would probably help me a little more, but I just pulled it up on Google Earth. That's why I put my hand down. But I guess my question is, other businesses in this area outside of restaurants and the pageant, do we accommodate them in any ways of dedicated parking on Del Mar?
Could you say your question again? Sorry, you cut out. I think it might have been my computer. I just heard on Del Mar.
So any other businesses outside of restaurants and the pageant, do we dedicate parking for them? Do we have any dedicated parking for those businesses?
So I'll let Lenny answer this. To my knowledge, and I was talking to Alderman Mattias about this a little earlier, to my knowledge, we don't have any places that would have an agreement like this on Del Mar. We do have places across the city.
Right.
But what businesses will do on Del Mar, and well, you know, because they have to go through your department too, is they will, I guess the popular term right now is asked to set up a parklet that they'll do. So they'll block off parking for, really just depends on what they submit. We've seen anything from a week to several months of dedicated space where there's no, might be, 3 to 6 spaces where you can't park there. They build out from the sidewalk and then, use that space. And that's particularly for that business's revenue. Lenny, did you have anything to add?
Well, most of the businesses also have parking for their employees, either in the back, or they do provide shuttles for them to go back and forth. So this is probably, an extreme concept, but that's why we did it this time.
Thank you, Lenny. And Alderman Grass, I see your hand up, but again, this is not a Q&A. You're here to testify as a public comment, so you're not. We've had our time with you to ask and answer questions.
Okay,
I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, I want to ask him questions. I guess just a point about if
so can you go on mute, put your hand down, please?
So no
Thank
talking at all.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman, any questions? Okay.
Questions?
Ms. Cooksey, you're welcome to close.
Thank you. Again, we are good neighbors. We respond to the needs of our stakeholders. And when parking was identified as a need for our stakeholders, we asked the question, we followed the process as it was outlined. We asked for what we needed for both the current and future capacity and operations of our organization. We did ask our immediate businesses, Urban Eatery, Nudo, K-Bop, where we patronize on a regular basis and encourage our team members, commissioners, and visitors to patron as well, that if there was severe economic hardship, to please communicate with us directly. We believe in being transparent. We operate with integrity, and we are excited about what is to come and the value that we will continue to add in the loop, not just for that immediate community, but for the city of St. Louis and St. Louis County. So I appreciate you all listening to our need and our request, and thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Cooksey. All right, so I will, just because we have this on the agenda, so we were originally scheduled, and Shirley, I'll invite you to speak to, originally scheduled for our Parking Commission Finance Corporation meeting at 11:30. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so we are making an adjustment. So I just want to make sure that is known, so we'll be late to that. But yeah, so we've had all the public comments. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to approve the parking permit agreement. And I'll just restate with the motion on the table. In a second, we can open discussion among commissioners and go from there. So I'll entertain a motion for the parking permit agreement for the Regional Arts Commission to be approved.
Motion to approve the agreement.
It's been moved by Mr. Freeman. Is there a second? I will second it. So discussion and deliberation. I will start with, Ms. Williams, you're first.
I guess my only concern is, one, identifying where the spots are. If I could see where the 6 spots are, I may feel a little more comfortable, but also I do agree with everyone else on the call that maybe we should look at 3 spots with time limits on them before I would feel even more comfortable with going with this motion.
Okay, and so I can pull up, because you did say Google Maps, I can pull up if Lenny, if you can, or Ms. Cooksey identify. Did you say, Ms. Cooksey, that there was, I don't remember, a spot across the street as well? Or
No, all of our
Okay.
spots are directly connected to our building.
Okay, so this is the front of rack. Can everyone see that? Okay, good. So it's the front of rack. So the 6 spaces, is this, because I know sometimes Google Images are old. Oh, looks like it's January 2022. This is still yellow painted curb.
It is not. That
there's a spot
actually,
here.
through this process, we learned that that wasn't supposed to be that way. And so the streets department came in and painted that over, installed another parking placard sign for the meter. And so there are 2 spaces, 1 space there, and then the 2 spaces, yes, sir, right there. And then there's another meter if you head back west towards the Baked Bear and Urban Eatery, where that car is parked. And so this is an apartment building that does have parking. There are no other parking options. Unfortunately, the way that the building is built, it butts adjacent directly to the alley. And so unlike other businesses that like K-Bop and others that not only have the parking lot, but they also have parking on the alley, RAC does not benefit from that. This apartment building does have parking in the back of its building. And so from where that blue car is up to the double spaces there are where the parking permit signs are.
Okay, up until this light post right here.
Correct.
So from this light post all the way to this blue car, with rack being right here.
Correct.
Thank you. So still on you, and take your time, Miss Williams, but still on you. I'll wait for you before we move on.
I guess my thing, I see the value, I understand the value of wanting the 6 spots, but I just think it would be better suited if we went with 3 and we learn from that and possibly could grow to 6, as well as I still feel that there should be some type of time restraints to when these parking spots are open. That I understand that you have vendors that come in at night. We could work around that as a streets department with permits or something, but I just feel like 24 hours, 7 day a week, 6 spots on Del Mar in this stretch is a bit much, but that's just my own opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Alderwoman Tice. I know she might be on another meeting. I'll give her a second. Okay, Ms. Kenner.
I think we need, I also understand the need. My concern is the time frame and the fact that I think there's a window of opportunity to review some additional options before making a final decision. I think we need to come back to the table and discuss. I know I'm not ready to vote on this today. There's too many open issues and unanswered questions for me. Love the Regional Arts Commission, the Glass Factory next door. I mean, I would like to see something working for all parties. And I don't think what we're doing today, even if we were to make a decision today, is going to work for all parties. And like I say, there's a window of opportunity for discussion with the alderperson and And I think we can come back to a better conclusion.
Thank you. And I would, I guess my question would be for Ms. Kenner, Ms. Williams, before we go on to Mr. Freeman. So I hear you and I completely agree. I think my question is when we come back to the table and we say what works, I think there's going to be things that we're asking people to bring. And it seems like the ask of what we're asking RAC to bring would be more than everyone else. So if we do come back to the table, I think it's what is said differently, whether we go with 3, whether we change the time frame, and we see what quote unquote works. I would just like to be very clear about how we define that. Because again, I always like to say, what's the worst case scenario? So if let's say we go with 3 and Ms. Cooksey and her team come back and say, well, 3 isn't enough, 6 would work. And the same, and I have my screen share, so I can't see other names and I forgot already, but Alderman Grass and our president of the SID come back and say, well, it doesn't work, and we're in the same place. So I am okay with saying, how do we compromise? How do we come to the table? I think we then need to be very specific about what are we asking for when we come back, because this has already been a long discussion, and to be in the same place with the same information, just after a different period of time, really doesn't benefit anyone. So I'm just going back to you all too, and maybe you need time to think about this, but what would be our ask to, what would be our indicators of success around what is working, not working? And what are we both asking of RAC and then the community? So if we're asking for the community to say, all right, we did 3 spaces for, my suggestion would be, well, I'll just say it now. My suggestion is if what has been proposed, and why I asked the question, is that this creates undue economic hardship for the businesses that are in the area. My proposal is, well, if we go with this, let's come back and review 3 months, 4 months from now, instead of waiting for a year. Let's come back in 4 months, and then those entities can say how this has negative, if it has, and how negatively impacted their ability to do business. And at least that gives us an indicator of a discrete numerical impact that we can show for. But that would be that would be my opinion. But regardless of that, not saying we have to go with it, my question to you both would be, what do you think would be an indicator that we would look at a month from now, 2 months from now, to say whether or not it's working or not, besides one person say it is working and one person saying it's not working?
First of all, I would like to know, has RAC or the representatives of the Regional Arts Commission, the alderperson, and the president of the SID, have they come to the table to talk even before this meeting?
That's a great question. And we're beyond our questions, so I won't call them back to specify, but I think that's...
I really believe that is key before you come to the commission and have us to make the decisions. Then we're here for an hour. I don't mind being here for an hour, but I really believe that if those parties came together and talked, there could be a decision made and everybody will be in agreement when they come back to us.
And I completely agree with you, Ms. Kenner. I see your hand up, Alderwoman Theis.
Let me apologize again. You know I'm trying to attend 2 meetings.
No,
so
you're okay. I already apologized.
I'm back and forth with the public safety meeting, which I'm the vice chair. So they have a hot thing going on. I wanted to ask about... I already
apologized for you. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. What is going on with that yellow strip? Because I'm looking to, could that be made a parking space? Could that be brought into and maybe you already said that while I was at the other meeting.
We sure did. So that is one of the spots. So that is a parking space now. So that is one of the 6.
Okay. And the other question I have, because this is just, is there a way that we could cut in to that area so we would be able to do, instead of horizontal parking, drive-in parking or back-in parking, which might give us a few more spaces?
Angled parking?
Yes, angled. Thank you.
We could explore that. I think with angled parking, just looking at it, because it was something that the 7th Street Streetscape folks asked us about as well, to try to do along Market, I believe, but it would come out into an already narrow street a little too
Can
much.
we see that picture again? Because
Yeah,
I,
I can bring that up.
thank you. They got, see, so I would go out, to me, they have real deep, what I call them tree lines, or they might be able to do that, okay? That's just, for me, I will join any meeting that anybody asks me to come to, because what you're saying, what should we be looking at as a solution? Sometimes the solution is what the commissioner from the comptroller's office is, that they actually sit down and start talking about it and seeing how everybody can come together. It might be also that we reached out to AT&T and the other guy who owns that space, that parking, and said, hey, we're getting ready to start some discussion about how to blight with them in the domain, because we need this parking. And so can you work with us? So we could do a lot in a couple of a month or two, as far as just advancing the cause that we all know we need more parking. It never was an issue for me before this, because I just went to the Loop and enjoyed it because it wasn't in my neighborhood. But now it's the chair of streets that becomes an issue for me. And so if you're looking for, will it be permanently solved? Will we come to an agreement? But I think we're working on a solution, which Commissioner Kenner said that would make everybody happy. And whenever you do a compromise, you're also gonna make everybody a little unhappy. But it could be we would be much nearer to a compromise. Okay, that's what I would be looking for.
All right, thank you, Alderman Tice. Ms. Kenner, did you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Mr. Freeman?
I'm okay with the agreement the way it is, but I mean, we can come back in a couple of months and see, what financial hardship it's caused any of the businesses along there. So.
Okay. Okay, so from my standpoint, it seems like we need to, it seems like the overall consensus is that we agree that there need to be spots. We don't know how many spots, and we also want to seek out alternatives and have an opportunity for, looks like probably, let me just find them, Mr. Maston, Ms. Cooksey to sit down and chat some more. Okay. Okay. I'm okay with that. I want to hear how the commissioners feel about that.
I'm fine with that. I think communication is always important when making these types of decisions. But I just think, for me, if I could see the facts and see exactly the layout of where they're wanting to go, yes, community buy-in is very, very, very important to me. We've heard the argument of the RAC. We hear what the other investors in the area feel. I just think that 6 may be too many for the time strain of 24 hours. That's my only thing. So if they could come back to us with, okay, here's our peak working hours, then that could help, other activities that go on in the Loop. I guess I'm just looking at it down the line. You have these 6 spots right across from the pageant. And then the expectation is you're going to expect someone to come out and ticket or tow these vehicles when they're parked in these spots at night when nobody's parked there, or they're attending a restaurant or whatever it is, and no one's there. It opens up an avenue for behaviors that we do not like in the city of St. Louis. So that's where I want to figure out, how do we limit that type of behavior and still address the need of what the community or what the RAC is needing. So I'm not sure that these two parties coming back to us with more information of how the impacts to businesses in the area will change the decision here. But I feel like if we just see all the facts, we know it all. I think as a commission, we should be able to vote on this and then move forward. But just give us time to look at everything at hand.
And I'll further say, we really don't have 24-hour enforcement anyway. So really anywhere, even in residential areas. And, you know, I hate to say it out loud, but it is what it is. Our parking enforcement officers are not robots, so they literally can't work around the clock.
I understand that, but then that's when it becomes a concern of the police department, or they're calling my towing division to come out and tow these vehicles at night. So I'm just looking at the big picture here of what it will cause. You know, that's my whole thing. I'm not just, I hear what you're saying. That's how I'm looking at it. But I do see the need, and I understand the need from the RAC. But if we had time to look at it, I think we would have a better result.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. All right, so hearing that, I think what we will do is we will set a time among commissioners, because I know we do have other business, and I will send out a notice to everyone on this call about how we adjust between that time and make sure that time is soon. So obviously want to give you all interested parties time to talk, strategize, but we do want to not have it lingering too long, because that does affect our department in terms of enforcement. It affects Ms. Williams' department in terms of, well, you know, the signs and everything that our chair of the streets committee has to do as well. So we want to make sure that that is not something that's lingering, especially as we end our fiscal year and go into our next one. We want to make sure we're going in clean. So we will do that. All right, so I want to thank everyone who presented. We will move on to, well, I guess if the motion is in the air, Alderwoman Tyus, do we have to vote on it then? Because it's been moved and seconded.
Here when it was there's been a motion put on the table.
Yeah. So motion
was it
to
seconded?
approve. Yes, so the motion was made and seconded to open up
You can
discussion.
have it withdrawn. You can have
Okay.
whoever did the second withdraw it, and the person who made the motion can withdraw it.
Thank you. So I will withdraw my second.
And I'll withdraw my motion.
So we will put out, like I said, we'll send out an email to all bodies. You have your hand up, Alderman Tyus?
I just wanted to know, are we gonna give it a month, 2 months, so we can know? Because I'm gonna call Alderman
I would like
of the
it done in,
28th right away.
I would like it done within the next 2 weeks personally.
Okay, you're funny. Okay, like I said, a month. I want to be 28 again, or 38, or whatever you are. Okay. I
mean-
like that optimism.
I mean, for at
But you
least,
see all these other people on here with this gray hair?
so I mean, well, we have our monthly meetings. So I mean, for the conversation amongst
Okay,
them
all right.
and deliberation to at least start within a month.
Okay.
Within 2 weeks for us to be ready to vote at our next monthly meeting.
And you're funny. So, okay. I'm trying to be nice, okay?
Well, you know, I'm optimistic.
We'll see how fast we get together, but that would be amazing if it was done in 2 weeks. That's what I'll say. I'll make myself available, so. if
Okay.
they would need
Oh,
me.
well, we won't have to meet within 2 weeks.
I know, I'm talking about Alderman Gross, Cooksey,
Okay. Gotcha.
Maston,
I hope you
whoever
all can
else,
make it work
okay?
in 2 weeks.
And if they
Thank you.
want me, I'll come too, okay? If not, I don't have to be there.
Sounds good. All right, so the next order of business is parking permit for Soho STL. Lenny, would you like, or Commissioner Freeman, would you like to talk about that?
Yes. So there are condos going up on 1316 7th Street, basically right across the street from our Soulard lot. A gentleman came to me and said the condos would be ready before their parking facility. And he would like to rent 50 spaces on Soulard lot for 6 months until the parking facility is ready. So it's basically a short-term agreement. And hopefully, he said it'll all be ready by the end of January of 23. And if not, then we can go to a month-to-month contract. I don't know if everybody has seen this, but I have a quick picture of it.
Mhm.
Can everybody see it?
No.
Let's see if I do this. Can everybody see it? No. Why won't it let me? Here, oh, sure. I guess that will help. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically this is the condos, and if you look right in here, you'll see the parking facility being built. So Mr. Hennessy asked for 50 spaces, and this is the parking agreement that we would execute on August 1st of this year to, this says August 30. This is the wrong one, but basically it would go to January 31st of 2023 at $50 a space.
But isn't that there because it is a monthly thing?
Yeah,
like-
this is what it would cost them a month, $2,500 a month for the 50 spaces.
Thank you, Lenny. So before I entertain questions, just saying that this is something that, does happen a lot. I know that we haven't had a bunch of requests for it just with the pandemic and everything like that. Just as we move forward with things like this, just want to make sure that the Parking Commission is aware, and then also allow the Parking Commission to vote on it. So we haven't seen many of these types of agreements come up for approval in the past, but just wanted to make sure that we do our due diligence and make sure that it's a transparent process and that everyone knows about it. So I bring it before you, and then if this body approves, we approve. If not, we don't.
Treasurer Lane, was that document in our packet?
It was, yes. It was, let me find that. Yes, so it would be the documents. I'm getting lost in my emails. 1 second. Shirley, what was the title of the one that you sent out? Because I have
apologize. Yeah, I apologize. I'm reviewing the email right now. I don't see it as an attachment. It's the same language as the RAC parking permit agreement. It just outlines the 50 spaces and the $50 a month.
Oh, it wasn't in there?
I don't see it, no.
Yeah, that's why I don't see it. Okay. Lenny, can you send that out to all the commissioners?
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
And if we were to give 50 spots, where would they actually park?
Where
So
would who?
Where would they be parking until, where's the area that they would be parking until the garage was completed?
It's a surface lot off of, is that Broadway or 7th Street, Lenny?
It's off of 7th and Marion.
Yes, 7th and Marion. So right before you turn onto the highway, we have a lot there that has metered parking on the lot.
How many
So
spots are-
would that affect the parkers or the participants, from Soulard Market? Okay,
So
no.
yeah, go ahead. and
No,
speak
no,
to
we
that.
never, we don't ever really fill it up, even on the weekends. So it wouldn't affect it, and it would probably bring more money into the office as far as no one really parks there during the week.
Okay,
And Miss Williams, I think, asked how many spots we had. I forgot the number. How many spots? are
There's
on-
111 spots total on the Soulard lot. So it would leave at least 61 spaces left for the people that are going to the market.
Okay.
So we start, Ms. Kenner. Alderman Tyus, do you have any questions?
And I'm sorry, because I thought we had it.
I
So
did too.
I see the rack, I see the couples. I see something for Seymour. So this was the Soulard, right?
Mhm.
Okay, yes. Is she sending that to us right now?
Yes, you're sending that right now, Lenny?
Yes, I'm pulling it up and it'll be about, give me about 1 minute.
Thanks for hanging with us, Steve.
Lenny, I got it. I got the most current one. I'll do it right now.
While Shirley is in that, Church Lane, how do you determine the rate? The rate per spot?
We have some set rates, but Lenny, you can go ahead and answer that one.
So basically, we would do it with just any surface lot around that area, or about how much we would make if per day if people park there. So, and then give them a discount because it's 7 days a week.
So if a person occupied that spot all day on a meter, can you even do that on a meter?
What,
Well,
occupy a space?
All
Yeah,
day on 1 meter?
Some people do, yes,
but it is hot if you just keep feeding it. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And that would be how much for a full day?
Depends on the zone, but we're at what, 150 an hour?
Yeah, in that area, we're at 150 an hour.
So for and we enforce from 7A to 7P or 8A to 7P,
8 to 7.
8 to 7. So yeah, so 11 hours at 150 an hour. And then we take into account, like Lenny said, just the area and demand. So what would be the opportunity cost of having someone completely reserve it versus not? And then, like he said, using it essentially 24 hours compared to someone who might just be parking during the day or during enforcement. Okay, and it looks like that agreement was sent for you all to review. just want to give you all time to review. Any questions on the agreement? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the, back to the agenda, parking agreement with Soho STL.
Motion to approve. Williams.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Williams, seconded by Mr. Freeman. Questions or considerations? All right, Ms. Ali, can you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Tyus,
Say Tyus.
Yes.
Aye.
Roxy Kenner,
Aye.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Chairman Lane.
Aye. The next item, I'll let Shirley speak to this, but a professional services contract with SimCore Advisors. Since we've been talking about parking a lot, which makes sense for a parking commission meeting. Like I was saying earlier, we get a lot of requests for garage builds. We just submitted a proposal for a lot or just 177, and we're working through that process. We actually don't have any full-time staff in our office dedicated to making sure that when the city is getting the best part of that deal or any deals that we do, and looking into just pricing structures, and with rising costs of materials, and with those ongoing costs of construction, it makes sense to have an advisor to help us with that as we seek to do more in that area. So Steve Simsack is here to answer any questions that you all might have, if there are any questions, but I will let Shirley open up the professional services contract and tee it off. Go ahead, Shirley.
Sure. Well, you did a nice job at introducing it. As Chairman Lane indicated, we've been approached numerous times since he took office from alderpersons, from SLDC, from local residential and business developers. Many times, we currently own property, we own garages, we also own lots. We have about maybe 10 lots throughout the city, some larger than others. So we've been approached as far as our interest in either selling these lots or possibly developing the lots and constructing garages on them to provide additional parking needs to the community, which has been a big topic of this morning's meeting. Mr. Simsack is with SimCore Advisors. I sent you guys all a proposed, basically an engagement letter. I have forwarded it to the city councilor's office, and they are working on a draft that they will approve as to form. But the contract is basically a monthly amount of $2,000 for his consulting services. The contract is it's a 1-year term with 30 days out. We've had a relationship with Steve for probably going on 8 or 9 years at this point. He used to be a broker with Gershman Real Estate, who assists us with our commercial brokerage, our properties. And he currently has his own firm, SimCore Advisors. And he has actually appeared before the Parking Commission and has provided services in the past. I don't know if you recall, Ms. Kenner, you may recall, Steve provided us with evaluation of the Upper City Hall lot. He also assisted this office with evaluation and sale of our Spruce property. So once again, we are just asking for approval to proceed with the contract.
Thank you, Shirley. I will entertain a motion to approve the professional services contract with SimCore Advisors.
Motion to approve contract for SimCore.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Freeman, seconded by Alderman Tyus. Any questions or deliberation?
I have one question on the contract, on the proposal. Is this a not to exceed 2,000 per month based on billable hours, or just straight?
This is a straight 2,000, similar to contracts that we have with other professional service providers. So straight 2,000.
And this is already in the fiscal year 23 budget
It is.
Okay,
It is. And as the Chairman Lane indicated in the past, under previous Treasurer Larry Williams, Mr. Williams had built 2 or 3 garages during his tenure, and we had a couple staff members on staff. We had 2 full-time, basically like civil engineers that worked for the office that helped along with the development and construction. So that is something that, you know, we're lacking. We did not budget for that. If there is an opportunity, and we do plan to move forward, that the next year we will be adding staff or, you know, requesting additional staff in our parking division budget.
thanks, Shirley.
Thank you, Ms. Kenner. Ms. Williams? Oh, nothing. All right, I just saw you come off mute, so I just went straight to you.
Oh, I didn't even know I was off of mute.
No, you're fine. You can be off mute. Alderwoman Tyus? She might be on the other line.
I'm sorry, did you?
Yep, just let me know.
I'm doing these 2 meetings.
I know.
I don't have anything, okay?
Okay, thank you. Mr. Freeman?
No, I don't have anything.
I don't have anything either. Right, so it's been moved and seconded. We'll take, Ms. Ali, can you take the roll? Or the vote?
Commissioner Williams,
Aye.
Commissioner Tyus,
Aye.
Proxy Kenner,
Aye,
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Chairman Lane.
Aye. Okay, contract is approved. I will move that. So Shirley, are we adjourning before we go into keeping you all day? Are we adjourning before we go into, okay, are we staying on this live though?
Yes.
We are, okay. All right. So I will I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
second,
Motion.
Wait a minute, are we adjourning to go into to a personnel matter?
No,
we
we're
adjourn?
not. So
Oh,
we are adjourned. Well, actually, that's a good question. So we're adjourning to go into the Parking Commission Finance Corporation, but I don't know if we need to.
are we gonna have to come back at all?
Yeah, so we're adjourning.
So you don't want to adjourn,
Right, we just want to
You
go
can-
into the.
a recess or a break or something like that, because you're gonna come back to this, right?
Well, we're going into a different body.
I know, but then are you coming back to this meeting? Oh, no, okay, yeah, we can adjourn then.
Okay.
So sometimes at the board, we have to come back to a meeting, okay?
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right. Okay. So adjournment is fine. I just want to
Okay.
make sure.
Yep, I just want to I'll double check because I want to pull up. So a lot of documents. Okay. Okay, so this is interesting. So it's the same state statute, Shirley. So do we actually need to adjourn?
So it's actually a different body. It's almost like a quasi arm under that same statute.
Okay, so
But
same
they
statute,
have-
different.
Yes, they do have
All right.
bylaws. The Parking Commission is the sole member of the City of St. Louis Parking Commission Finance Corporation.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I will again entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Alderwoman Tyus, seconded by Mr. Freeman. Any objection to well, no one called for previous roll. If someone would love to call for previous roll.
previous row.
All right, any objection to previous roll? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned.
And Treasurer Lane, I will not be able to attend the next meeting.
Okay, sorry about that. Well, thank you, Ms. Kenner.
Have a great day, everybody.
All right,
You
you
too.
too.
Two, bye.
Mr. Treasurer,
Yes, sir.
I'll dismiss myself from the next meeting.
All right, thank you so much for being here and waiting with us patiently.
It's no problem. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you all.
Thank you. I should have given you an opportunity to say something. I'm sorry. It's been a long morning already.
Everybody's been talking, so it's been fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we
Thank
still
you,
have,
everyone. I appreciate it.
thank you. And then once we get we might invite you back once we get the whatever we need from the city councilor's office to introduce yourself to, so that we can do that.
Okay.
And thank you, Ms. Williams. We'll try to get through as much as we can for this one. So I would like to call this meeting to order pursuant to revised Missouri State this meeting of the Parking Commission Finance Corporation to order pursuant to revised Missouri State Statute 82487. Ms. Ali, can you take the roll, please?
Commissioner Williams,
Present.
Commissioner Tyus,
Present.
Roxy Kenner, Commissioner Freeman,
Present.
Chairman Lane.
Present. So the first and most important order of business is to, well, depending on who you ask, but to nominate our new member. So Alderwoman Tyus, I would entertain a nomination. I will entertain a nomination to for Alderwoman Tyus to be, yes, to be a member of the Parking Commission Finance Corporation.
I'd like to nominate Alderwoman Tyus.
All right. You've been nominated. Any objection or do we need a second? We have a second. So nomination by Mr. Freeman, second by Ms. Williams. Any objection to the nomination, Ms. Alderwoman Tyus?
No.
Second. All right, Ms. Ali, can you take the roll?
Commissioner Tyus, Commissioner Tyus,
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm first. Okay, I was used to being second after Williams. Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Proxy Green, Proxy Kenner, I'm sorry. Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Chairman Lane.
Aye. Next order of business, appointment of officers. So we need a president, a secretary, and a treasurer. I will entertain nominations for, we'll start with president. Oh,
Chairman Lane, I apologize. We decided to remove that off the agenda for today.
okay, great. I didn't know that, so that is off. We will move to the last item of business. Hopefully we can keep you, Ms. Williams. So the assignment and amendment of the lease between the Parking Commission Finance Corporation and Couples. Shirley, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, thank you. So I provided you all a copy of an existing parking lease. It was entered into in 2004 between City of St. Louis Parking Commission Finance Corporation and Couples Residential, who owns the Loft Apartments right there at Spruce and 11th Street. And it's a 30-year lease. Like I said, it was entered into in 2004. And the lease basically contains a provision where the entity has a license to use up to or rent up to 160 parking spaces in the facility. At this time, the lofts are being sold. So Couples Residential is selling their property to an entity called the Couples Station LLC. And so we were approached because the Couples Station LLC would had asked that the lease be assigned to them. There is a provision in the lease that leasee is not permitted to assign its interest without the prior written consent of the lessor. So at this time, I provided you guys with the assignment, assumption, and amendment of lease. Basically, the only one item that was changed in the lease is the number of spaces. So the current lease gives them the opportunity to license rent up to 160 spaces. We have dropped that number down to 100 spaces. And basically because we don't see a need to reserve so many spaces for them. Currently, we have about 19 of their residents that park within the garage. And currently, the residents are paying us directly instead of going through the residential management company. So that is also something that we are encouraging them to do upon execution of this assignment. Included in the original lease and included in this assumption is a $10,000 guarantee per year. So no matter if they use their spaces monthly or not, we're guaranteed the sum of $10,000 For whatever reason, under the existing original lease, we don't have any record of enforcement of that provision. However, the new owners are aware that we do intend to enforce it. So we're asking for approval of the assignment. It's my understanding that the sale, the closing should be occurring the end of this month. Do you have any questions?
You said 10,000 per month, or what is it?
$10,000 per year.
Per year, okay.
So
And
it's basically 8.5, 9 spaces a month that guaranteed.
So was that the price from the old contract?
It was.
Okay.
It was. And we don't have any record. It's my understanding that back when Mr. Williams was here, that there was some kind of confusion and just the agreement wasn't working well. However, with our current fiscal department, we actually prefer, if we can, work directly with the management company instead of having their individual residents applying for parking. We'd rather just have the one contact person that, you know, we work with, that we receive payment from, that we issue cards to. They'll distribute the cards. And if there's ever any issues with any of the individual parkers, it's also beneficial for us to reach out to the management company for assistance there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Alderwoman Tice.
I have no questions.
Mr. Freeman.
No questions.
And I don't have any either. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the assignment and amendment of the lease between the Parking Commission Finance Corporation and Couples.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by
Previous
Alderman
roll.
Tyus.
Oh, do we have a
seconded by
previous
Mr.
roll?
Freeman. Call for previous roll. Any objection? Hearing none, the motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I can just attend one meeting then.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any call for previous roll?
Previous roll.
All right, any objection to previous roll? All right, hearing none, the motion carries and we are adjourned. Thank you.
I've
everyone.
only attended 3 meetings in this last hour, okay? 3 different ones.